Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
To Nevada Newsmakers, the governor's putting taxes first. The Democrats say maybe not. Andy has the rundown.
Barbara Buckley is the majority leader of the Assembly. She joins us today to tell us what the Democrats' plans are for this coming legislative session. And few people know more about politics in the state of Nevada than Jon Ralston, author, pundit, and TV star down in Las Vegas. He joins us today. Sam?
And Jon Ralston also joins our panel of pundits along with Jim Denton and Ande Barbano. It's all coming up on the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
Earn triple cash points every day during February at the Gold Dust West. To celebrate, we're bringing back the classics.
Earn once, twice, 3 times the points.
With triple cash points, you'll remember.
Win 3 times.
3 times the cash. Triple cash points happens the entire month of February. You'll enjoy.
3 is the winningest number.
3 times the cash. All day, all machines, all month. Using your Gold Rush card in February will be music to your ears.
Folks, you must see what's new in Virginia City. Ride the V&T train all the way to Gold Hill. Explore a mine, if you dare. Visit Piper's Opera House. Watch the gunslingers shoot it up on C Street. Shop in unique stores. Listen to honky tonk in the historic saloons. You can't see it all in one day, so spend the night. Virginia City, where the West comes alive. Come up and spend the night in our hotels, motels, and RV parks.
When he was just a young boy, Ken Dillon laid back, looked up at the stars, and thought to himself, hey, this house could use a roof. Today, Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal offers a complete line of Firestone roofing products for any type of roof, from commercial to industrial and residential. With a Firestone roof from D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal, what's overhead stays overhead. Call Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal today for a free estimate. Yes, the technology sure has changed, but after all these years, Ken still enjoys playing with houses.
Feel it, the magic is everywhere. The action, the style, the food, the flair. Play with us, stay with us in Reno, say El Dorado, and live the excitement. El Dorado, Reno's shining star. Live the excitement.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad, political analyst Ande Engleman on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the News 4 Broadcast Center, here's Sam Shad.
Barbara Buckley is a Democrat. She's also the Assembly Majority Leader. The governor has a plan. Do the Democrats? Let's find out.
Good morning, Barbara. Thank you for being with us. Good morning. So the Democrats aren't going to pass taxes quickly in the first couple of months of the legislature. What is it you are going to pass quickly?
Well, we're working on taxes, obviously, as we pour through the budget and examine the governor's proposal. But last week we announced there are certain bills that we're going to give priority. And a few of those are audits of our educational system, both K through 12, the university system. Another school-related measure, we passed a great discipline bill, but it's not being followed. So we want to toughen the sanctions for schools that aren't cracking down on discipline problems.
On that audit, very quickly, that includes Washoe County schools.
It does. Mm-hmm.
And who pays for the audit?
Well, we have put in the bill that the school districts will have to absorb it, but of course we'll appropriate the money within their budgets this session.
Okay. I'm sorry, I wanted to get that clear.
No, sure.
One of the things that you talked about was putting a bill through to stop insurance companies from using credit to jack up the rates on people who have poor credit.
Yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon, and it doesn't affect people just with poor credit. You know, you or I might have, for example, where one of our health insurance companies didn't pay our bill quick enough. So it shows up on our credit report, but we don't know about it. We have found out that some insurance companies, auto insurance companies, are charging you a higher premium when you may not even be aware that this is on your credit. We think that's wrong. Also, they're looking at how many times credit card companies run your credit report. That can be a factor in you getting a higher insurance rate. We want the process to be fair and be related to your driving record.
How is this balanced against other states?
A number of states are looking at the issue and prohibiting it. The insurance commissioners nationally have come up with an approach where they say you have to tell the consumer has a right to protest it, and putting in some consumer protections. So we're also examining all of those protections to see if they make sense for Nevada.
They're saying that that's only one of the factors they use, that there are many other issues that come into play.
Yeah, and that's probably true, but we think all of those factors should be fair factors and not just based on one credit card company dinging you and then you paying for their mistake. A lot of people, if they examine their credit reports, will be amazed at how many mistakes there are. And if there are, and then you're not even aware of it, the consumer isn't protected.
A couple of the other things that you guys brought up as Bill's suggestions was making terrorism a capital offense and having hotel casinos plan to develop emergency evacuation procedures.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds like, you know, these things should already be in place, through the federal government as far as terrorism and punishment for that. And don't the hotel casinos already have plans for this? I mean, the fires that happened back in the 70s certainly caused concern there.
Many of them do, but not all of them do. And so this is Speaker Richard Perkins' plan to just make sure, you know, he's a policeman in his regular life besides being Speaker, and he wants to make sure that the police authorities have ready access just in case something does happen. And on the terrorism part, the federal government has, you know, there's a lot of issues about whether this is a states' rights issue or federal government issue, and every state needs to address this themselves. And most states in session since September 11 have passed these measures.
Medical malpractice looks like it's rearing its ugly head again this session. What are you going to do with that, Barbara?
Well, it'll be interesting. I mean, we worked very hard over the past 2 years to pass a bill that we thought would be constitutional, that had reasonable caps, but allowed someone, for example, if they were brain damaged, to not be hurt. And we thought this was the only constitutional way to go, and now, of course, others are presenting another plan that we don't think is constitutional. So the legislature is going to have to grapple with this issue in a very short session where we have a lot of things on our agenda.
Another thing you're grappling with is Sharon Engel's suggestion about prisons. You want to elaborate?
Well, there's been a little controversy in the past week. There's a proposal that legislators should go to Ensenada to examine a Scientology-based, unscientifically proven approach of giving saunas and massages and overdoses of vitamins to prisoners. And I came out saying I thought the idea, shall we say, lacked merit. I mean, the average person on the street, I think, can't understand why we would give prisoners saunas, but you know, why not saunas for everybody?
Was lacking merit strong enough?
You know, I thought it was a pretty, you know, a poor idea, especially in a budget crisis time when we may not have teachers for classrooms. It seemed to me a pretty lame idea.
Barbara Buckley, thank you so much for being here, and we'll be right back.
CTX can help you negotiate your best deal. We've been your home team advantage for over a decade. Call us today because at CTX, local service still matters.
Yeah, with CTX, you're homeward bound.
Do you know you can still buy a nice car for a great price and a low payment? The car is a Mitsubishi Lancer, and it's only available at Reno Mitsubishi. The Lancer has style, a ton of neat features, and with a lease payment of $169 a month, it's even more fun to drive. So if you want a great deal on a Mitsubishi Lancer, find your way down to Reno Mitsubishi today, because at this payment, they won't last long.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. 7 award-winning dining choices. Experience the Atlantis Seafood Steakhouse tonight. Winner of Wine Spectator's Award of Excellence. The local's choice for food and fun, Atlantis.
Atlantis.
At Sushi Club, everybody's family. That's what makes dining here so much fun. The sushi is consistently better, the atmosphere is great, and the service is wonderful.
Welcome to the Bigger and Better Sushi Club. Come in for our delicious daily specials.
When you're talking sushi, you're talking Sushi Club in the Independence Square Shopping Center.
Hi, may I please make an appointment?
What if you called for help and no one answered?
Hi, I'd like to make
What if that help was for your unborn child? Lawsuit abuse has created a healthcare crisis, making it difficult for women to find doctors, driving good doctors out of Nevada and leaving us without healthcare. We're protecting the doctors of Nevada, and we need your help. Call 800-784-4730 now. Tell your legislator to support Keep Our Doctors in Nevada.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
Jon Ralston writes a column that appears in both Las Vegas and Reno. He has a private subscription email letter that goes out. He also has a monthly newsletter that goes out that's about 16 pages long. He also has weekly columns in Business Magazine and is an author. If he would slow down, 10 people would get jobs. No kidding.
John, I'm going to start out with the tough one. Who in this whole taxation issue do you see as displaying any real leadership?
Well, I actually do think the governor showed some leadership. I think it took him 4 years too long to do it, as I've been saying, and a lot of governors before him should have shown the same kind of leadership. But the rest of them are just scared, Andy. I mean, they just don't know what to do. Remember, you got 40% of the assembly is freshmen, and imagine coming up here after getting elected to this office and with the prospect of going back to your constituents, hey, thanks for electing me, now re-elect me, I just raised $1 billion in taxes. So they're understandably frightened. So I think it's way too early for anyone to show leadership up there.
Okay, are businesses howling at you the way they're howling at us?
Yeah, they are howling at me because I have been advocating for a broad-based business tax since about 1988. But the amazing thing about it is, Sam, is that they send me these emails and they clearly can't do math, which scares me for the business community here in Nevada. Nobody understands the gross receipts for two reasons. One, it sounds awful, so people are going to viscerally be against it. And two, the governor has not proposed the actual details of the plan. Once you see a bill, see whether they're going to have any exemptions, see whether they're going to take into account high volume, low margin businesses, cost of goods, those kinds of things. Nobody really knows. So again, people out there are reacting more instinctually than they are to the actual details because there are no details.
But is that the governor's fault then for not coming out with more details on the plan for us to be able to actually discuss?
The governor blew this whole thing, in my opinion, by not trying to make the case for taxes that everyone inside knew he was going to raise during his non-campaign for re-election. The bottom line is the guy raised $3 million. Everybody knew he didn't have a raise. Well, he should have spent that money on something productive, which is educating the public on the needs in education, mental health. To try to drop this $1 billion bomb right after the election, the public is shocked, and they're reacting that way. That's the governor's fault.
You know what? I don't think the public is shocked. I think the public in general is very happy because the governor came on in the State of the State and said, I'll give this to you, I'll give this to you, I'll give this to you. Everybody got something on the tree. The only problem was that he was going to have to raise $1 billion to be able to pay for it. I think businesses are the ones that appear to me to be the ones that are most upset at this point. People talking about, well, if this gross receipts tax goes through, then I'm probably not going to do matching IRA contributions. I'm not going to employ people. If the VAT tax goes up dramatically by 300%, that's jobs that aren't going to be found. I mean, the business people are the ones upset. Everybody else is going, boy, yeah, that sounds good to me.
See, I don't think you're right about that, Sam. You're right that he gave all the trinkets out to try to justify it, but those were to special interests and fairly knowledgeable special interests, whether they're teachers or mental health advocates, people who have wanted these things for a long time. Democrats who are essentially clapping more than Republicans during the speech. Yeah, but the public is still reacting. Wait a second, it's a huge tax increase. $1 billion is $1 billion no matter how you look at it. And they don't know exactly what is being planned and how this is going to be passed on to them. So the majority of the public is shocked, is reacting negatively. As far as businesses go, I don't have much sympathy for them. I mean, people who are saying that they can't do certain things because of 0.25% on their gross, I just don't buy it. Now, whether or not the gross receipts is the right vehicle, I think it does need to be debated.
They're saying go with net rather than gross. That makes more sense.
A lot of people say that, and they did consider it. You see, what people want to forget is that there was this tax policy committee that was, listen, it was supposed to be a prophylactic for the legislators during their campaigns and for the governor, but now they actually did a good job. Read the report. Why doesn't somebody at least read the executive summary? I guarantee 90% of the legislators haven't. They took into account net profits. There are some good arguments for. There are a lot of arguments against. You even need more of a bureaucracy for net profits than you would for gross receipts. Businesses can play games with what quote-unquote profit is. Gross receipts is gross receipts. Now, I'm not advocating for the gross receipts. I'm saying that the intellectual process that went through, it existed. There's no intellectual process going on in Carson City. Not that there ever has been one, really, but at least they deliberated for a year and came up with gross receipts. These legislators are up there and they're reacting to two things. One, the governor doesn't like the legislature and can't hide it. Number two, they're getting bombarded by emails and phone calls from their constituents saying, "What the heck are you guys doing?"
Right, not a bad question. All right, John, we know there's going to be a tax shift, a tax hike. If only one could get through in this session, which one would you think is more important to get through?
There's no question that there are two separate questions, and most people don't realize that. I think most important is what they should have done like 6 sessions ago, which is the so-called shifting of the tax. You have to shift. That has nothing to do with whether you should raise gaming, raise sales too, but you got to take some of the burden off of gaming and sales and put the so-called third leg of the stool in there. That has to happen. It is a completely separate question and a philosophical question of how much money then do you put into the budget. Everyone's going to have a different answer. There's at least 63 different answers to that in Carson City. But that is less important, in my opinion, than actually fundamentally changing the way this state raises money. Nobody can argue, looking at the numbers in the last 10 years, that you need to do that. And nobody can argue that there are a lot of business folks in this state who have benefited from a gaming-driven economy who don't pay jack into the state budget.
John, if you could just get a little riled up, if we get some energy out of you, it would really help the show a lot. Yeah, we'll get you some more. We'll be back with the Pundits. John's going to join us right after this.
Take a break and treat the family to breakfast, lunch, or dinner at Tamarack Junction. Enjoy pasta night on Wednesdays, Mexican on Thursdays, and seafood on Fridays. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
When he was just a young boy, Ken Dillon laid back, looked up at the stars, and thought to himself, "Hey, this house could use a roof." Today, Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal offers a complete line of elk roofing products for any type of residential roof. With an elk roof from D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal, what's overhead stays overhead. Call Ken Dillon's D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal today for a free estimate. Yes, the technology sure has changed, but after all these years, Ken still enjoys playing with houses.
The Gold Dust West has another Club Card Challenge. Triple cash points all day, all machines, all month.
Okay, what's the catch?
None. Just use your Gold Rush card any day, anytime, and on any machine during the month of February, and you'll earn triple cash points.
Triple cash points on all machines?
On all machines.
Triple cash points anytime?
Anytime.
Triple cash points all day, all machines, all month, just for using my Gold Rush card? How do they give away that much cash?
Simple. February only has 28 days.
Folks, you must see what's new in Virginia City. Ride the V&T train all the way to Gold Hill. Explore a mine, if you dare. Visit Piper's Opera House. Watch the gunslingers shoot it up on C Street. Shop in unique stores. Listen to honky tonk in the historic saloons. You can't see it all in one day, so spend the night. Virginia City, where the West comes alive. Come up and spend the night in our hotels, motels, and RV parks.
At Tamarack Junction, you can take advantage of fabulous food around the clock. For breakfast, lunch, or dinner, give the oven and yourself a rest. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
The steam's already rising. It's time for our Pundit section today with Ande Barbano, columnist for the Sparks Tribune. And then John joins us for the Pundit section, and we're very glad to have him, and Jim Denton, political analyst. Ande, I talked too much in the last segment. It's up to you now.
Thank you. Governor has quite a job ahead of him to sell this tax and a tax shift to the public. All three of you are in communications. How is he going to do it?
Well, let's talk about what he hasn't done. Governor's done a terrible job, in my opinion.
No, I want to know how can he sell it?
He needs to make the case to the public that the need exists.
Okay.
He needs to make that case, and I don't see that he's made that.
Somebody enlighten me on how we're shifting taxes here. The last tax shift was in '81 when we moved to a large degree to sales tax, and it's come back to bite us where the sun doesn't shine. And I don't see a shift here so much as I see an expansion.
Well, there's both. I mean, you're expanding the base, and so you're shifting some of the burden to people who theoretically have not paid before. You know, it's interesting what Jim said, though. I'll make this point real quickly. is that I think they're finally starting to sell it, though, Andy. They finally having these hearings where they have the horror stories, and Jackie Crawford came and said all these prisoners will be running onto the streets. You have the mental health budget presented next. They have to do that, but it can't just be the governor. It's got to be at the grassroots level. They have no chance. Because if they don't shut down this negativity going into the legislators from their constituents, they'll never get it on.
And isn't that what part of the problem here is that we all would like to have the answers on day one, and in fact the legislative process is one that allows them to have hearings where Jackie Crawford can come and talk about what the effects of this bill. Isn't that the way that it should be?
Well, it's the grinding of sausage.
Well, I think one of the problems with government in general in this state and other states is like John's column this morning when they're talking about releasing prisoners and having to lay off school teachers if the budget doesn't pass. Voters have heard this before. They've heard this for 30 years. They've never seen any of this stuff happen. It's exactly what they were threatened with in California. And in the 70s, the same thing they were threatened with in Oregon a couple of months ago, and the voters said, no, thank you.
How much of these horror stories is just a threat and how much is real?
I guess we'll find out.
I think a lot of it's real, but we'll know how serious the legislature is about solving the problem come this Thursday. Senator Joe Neal's Senate Bill 21, as I broke in the Sparks Tribune on Sunday, even before the legislative website had it. I got to get one ahead of you once in a while, John. Senate Bill 21, 2 o'clock this Thursday afternoon in Senate Taxation is Senator Joe Neal's bill to raise the gaming tax by a full 4 percentage points, which will wipe out the state deficit in one fell swoop. If the lawmakers are serious about addressing the funding problems of the state, we've got to have more than a cosmetic increase in the gaming tax, which, when you look at the BAT credits against it, comes in at 0. According to the governor's plan. So we'll see if they're serious, or whether they'll do the same thing that they've done to Senator Neal so many times, the same thing they did to his racial profiling bill, swat him down to make an example of him and to marginalize him.
He's right about that. Let me just make a real quick point here. It's not exactly true that there's a 0 effect on gaming, but the problem this session that they have is here you have out in the public's mad about all these taxes. Here you have a chance, as Andy's pointed out, you can solve the whole problem just by raising gaming taxes. If they do what they usually do, which is act with incredible arrogance and muffle all these legislators, or the legislators muffle themselves on this committee and don't say anything, I think that has the potential to reverberate beyond that hearing on Thursday. It has nothing to do with Joe Neal or his tax plan. It has to do with the atmosphere that's out there. You can make a case against that tax plan, I think, if you wanted to. But they never do that. What they do is what Andy's describing, and so it's just incredible arrogance of the gaming industry in handling this kind of thing. If that exists on Thursday, I think that's going to be a big problem.
Well, I agree with John, but I also agree with something else that John said, that when we talk about how to fund this state, we have an overdependence on gaming and sales tax. I mean, I don't know how many reports I have read. I've had to have read at least a half a dozen reports that say exactly that. And so we're going to have to come up with a mechanism in this legislative session to change that. And the question is, in my view, is whether there's the political will to do that.
What I hope Joe Neal does during that hearing is really say flatly, I want to hear from each of my colleagues on this committee why they have the stand that they do on not raising the gaming tax. And I want to hear them make the case why the gaming tax should not be raised. And see, if that happens, then I think it's a legitimate hearing, and these people have to be out there. They're such chickens, though, Andy. That's the problem on this. They don't want to talk about, oh, look out, all the boys are in the back there watching the hearing, and they might not get...
Well, that Harvey told me to.
Yeah, exactly, so...
There are a couple of things happening here. First of all, Senator Mike Schneider, who seconded Senator Neal's motion for a 2% tax increase in 2001, is not on the committee this year. But over and above that, there's substantial research to show that not only is gaming not paying its fair share, but I've got a state study that I've had on my website for years that shows gambling's low-wage job creation is the basic problem. And now we have Dr. Keith Schwer's study from UNLV that says if you just look at the cost of gambling addiction, that more than wipes out every tax gaming pays.
Let's forget about gaming in southern Nevada for a minute. Let's talk about gaming in Washoe County. In Washoe County, gaming has been on a decline for the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, properties up here are selling for less. Some properties up here are selling for less than what their appraised value is. With the advent of Indian gaming in California, it is going to be clearly a large problem when that property opens outside of Auburn.
Which is being managed by a Southern Nevada
Yeah, it really is.
giant,
Right.
and this is where
And
they
it's
have no
advertising.
credibility with the public.
That's
because
right.
they say, oh no, Indian game is going to kill us. Then they spend $30 million in
Right.
California, can't stop it, and then they say, well, can't beat them. Let's join
and
them.
I find it ironic that they're advertising in Reno media to find employees to work in the Indian
But
gaming casino.
Harris has been working with Indian casinos for many years now, and they've managed to make this where it's much more profitable for them because they can take somebody who's going to an Indian casino down in San Diego and say, hey, you want to go to Reno for the weekend? Here's a couple of tickets. Go up there and have a great weekend.
I think
it's really a marketing opportunity for the casino industry. It is not written anywhere that any business is going to stay the same for all eternity.
Harris
and they
has done
have
a
to
very
change
good
with
job
the
of
times.
diversifying.
Yeah,
And Northern Nevada
Harris
Casino-
has done a very good job
Right,
of
and
diversifying their business.
That's where I'm a free enterprise capitalist. There is no reason, with all the corporate welfare we have in the gambling industry in this state, to give them even more to subsidize them in what they perceive as tough times, very often where they're competing with themselves.
But the problem is, in this community, we've got a lot of marginal casinos that are barely making it.
The point that Sam makes is the right point. They have to change. They have to expand. They have to, but that does not help Nevada. That helps the shareholders of those gaming companies, and that does not have anything to do with the Nevada economy. And the point, again, that Andy makes, he's right on. I hate to keep saying that you're right.
Oh, man, there's too much love on this set.
The whole corporate welfare thing for gaming, this is where gaming blows it up in the legislature. They get so arrogant that they overreach. They try to nullify jury verdicts. They try to get benefits for themselves that other industries don't have. And again, at some point, all of that is going to, there's going to be a critical mass when a tax increase comes
We're
up.
going to take a break. We'll just let these guys carry on. We'll be right back.
If you're talking sushi, you're talking Sushi Club. Year after year voted the best place for sushi. 11 chefs on staff to serve you. Better ingredients for consistent high quality. And lots of room, so bring your friends. Sushi Club in the Independence Square Shopping Center.
Feel it, the magic is everywhere. The action, the style, the food, the flair. Play with us, stay with us. In Reno, say El Dorado. And live the excitement. El Dorado. Reno, shining star. Live the excitement.
CTX can help you negotiate your best deal. We've been your home team advantage for over a decade. Call us today because at CTX, local service still matters.
Yeah, with CTX, you're homeward bound.
The Mitsubishi Outlander is the hottest new sport utility on the market today. And right now, you can lease it at Reno Mitsubishi for just $209 a month. The Outlander is sporty, features all-wheel drive, and is the best buy in its class. You owe it to yourself, and you deserve it. Come down and lease a brand new 2003 Outlander for just $209 a month. It's for a limited time only, so find your way down to Reno Mitsubishi today.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. Toucan Charlie's Buffet and Grill, consistently voted Reno's best buffet by locals. Experience the Mongolian barbecue, new Asian station, and sumptuous exhibition stations filled with fresh entrees, salads, and desserts. Try the Friday night seafood buffet and Sunday champagne brunch.
Atlantis.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
Tomorrow, Mayor Bob Cashel and Mike Hillerby from the governor's office.
We'll see you then.